Sunspots and Starspots, a video created, directed, and produced by Reverend Dr. Dikki-Jo Mullen. In this video, Dr. Mullen will talk about storms, flares, and loops associated with both the sunspots and starspots as they affect planet Earth and the zodiac signs and horoscopes of individuals.
This is astrologer and paranormal investigator Dikki-Jo Mullen, coming to you from downtown Orlando, Florida, with a special study of sunspots and starspots. Astronomers look at the physical qualities of the universe, and I relate them to physicians, to medical doctors, while astrologers look at the subtle qualities of the emanations of outer space and the way they affect life on Earth, and might be akin to psychologists who affect the qualities and study the mind. And sunspots and starspots are a very interesting meeting of the two. Solar flares, solar winds, coronal loops, prominences, mass ejections, reconnection events, and solar storms. Quite dramatic. And they're all about sunlight. We are sunlight, the source of all life on the planet. The sun provides the earth, our home, with the energy which makes everything we are possible. Astrologically, the sun sign in the birth chart is the familiar zodiac sign everybody knows. It's planet Earth's path around the sun on the date of birth. The sun sign shows where and how one can shine in life. However, this glowing golden sphere also keeps some deep secrets. It has maybe a wicked, mysterious, and playful side. Exploring the phenomena of sunspots is a really great way to understand more about what the sun really is and does. Although Galileo, who lived from 1564 to 1642, has often been given credit for discovering sunspots, the earliest reports about them actually date back much further, beginning about 800 BC with the Chinese books of changes. Near 300 BC, a Greek scholar, Theophrastus, who studied with Plato, left recordings of careful, deliberate sunspot observation. Now, all of this is in the day before we had telescopes, so they were actually looking at the sun with the naked eye. John, also known as Florence of Worcester, was an English monk and historian who actually drew pictures, sketches of sunspots that he observed in December of 1128 AD. So the larger spots can be observed with the naked eye. Some of these are many times larger than planet Earth. Sunspots are darker areas, which although still very hot, are somewhat cooler. The sunspots average at about 2,700 degrees Celsius, and the sun's overall surface temperature is about 5,500 degrees Celsius. Usually sunspots develop in pairs and have opposite magnetic polarities. Fluctuations in convection are what causes the spots to form. They expand and contract while traveling across the Earth's surface. Eventually, they will decay and disappear, sometimes after a few days, sometimes after a couple of months. The number of sunspots will vary from none at all, sometimes, to many at other times. They follow cycles of approximately 11 years, with some variations in length. The impact of sunspot activity on Earth is a hotly debated topic in scientific circles. Some astronomers insist they have no effect at all, while others will link heightened sunspot activity to temperature fluctuations on Earth, earthquakes, various disturbed weather patterns, the growth of tree rings, interference with radio waves, power outages, wars, mass migrations of people or animals, illnesses, the crusades and revolutions throughout history, and other significant earthly events can be timed with sunspots. Over the past 400 years, study of sunspot cycles have led to separating them into maxima and minima trends as the number rises and falls comparatively. And during the early to mid 20th century, the trend became upwards toward more sunspots, and many scientists feel this correlated with a cooling trend on Earth. In the early 20th century, that was true, of course, not as much toward the end. And more recently, sunspot activity has tapered off. Those who don't believe in global warming say that the sunspot activity, because it's lessened, more heat from the sun gets through, and it creates warmer temperatures here on Earth. Overall, though, over time, the sun's overall activity is accelerating. Most scientists agree that solar radiation is currently more dynamic than it has been in the past 8,000 years. The story of the sun doesn't stop here, though, with sunspots. They are accompanied by and appear to cause a great deal of secondary intense magnetic activity, which also can be linked to earthly events. First of all, there are the solar flares, and these are like flares that one might light off, and they're especially high energy emissions. The solar flares send out protons, and these affect the Earth's atmosphere. Powerful auroras can appear at the northern and southern lights upon interacting with the Earth's magnetic field. So the northern lights and southern lights also relate to sunspot activity. Solar winds are streams of charged particles released from the sun's upper atmosphere. The wind is a plasma, and it consists of electrons, protons, and alpha particles, which are charged with kinetic energy. Coronal loops are huge energy circles, which begin and end on the sun's surface. A mass ejection is a giant cloud of solar plasma drenched with lines of a magnetic field, and it's blown away from the sun right toward Earth and the other planets. A solar prominence is a large, bright, gaseous feature which extends outward from the sun's surface, and it's shaped like a loop. This anchors to the sun's surface and extends outward to the corona. Now, corona is a Latin word for crown, and that's the ring of plasma or energy surrounding the sun. We can see that during eclipses more easily. Solar storms are events in which activity induced by radiation and streams of charged particles on the sun interferes with the Earth's magnetic field. Because the sun is so far away, some people believe that these storms are not capable of having any impact. However, they seem to occur along with really significant, sometimes even devastating events. Finally, a solar reconnection event is a process in which magnetic field lines are spliced to one another. These patterns of connectivity are changeable and dynamic. And again, they can be related to a deeper understanding of the complex patterns of action at work within our lives on Earth and within our sun. With advances in technology, more and more is being discovered all the time about the sun, Earth's celestial lifelight. Of course, this has all been going on for millions of years. However, humanity just now is capable of discovering more about the sun. Perhaps that's why our lives are accelerating in pace and growing more sophisticated in the ability to respond to a wider range of potentials within ourselves and the world around us. However, spots don't stop with the sun. The countless stars visible in the night sky after sunset are also distant suns and have spot activity. This stellar phenomena is called sunspots, so named with the analogy of starspots, so named with the analogy of sunspots. Most stars are so far away that detectable fluctuations in brightness are hard to discern without a really good telescope. However, among those which can be observed, star spots are really impressive. Astronomical calculations suggest that some star spots alone are 100 times larger than those of our sun and cover over 30% of a star's surface. There's a website that NASA has. It's Space Place, SPACE place, without any spaces, .nasa.gov/solar activity. This is a really great link for further information about the sun and current sunspot and even some star spot activity. Research for yourselves. Take a look at the sunspot activity and see how that might be affecting your own life and the world around us. A local planetarium or observatory can give you more information about safely observing sunspots, because I want to reiterate to never gaze directly at the sun. I know Galileo and the crowd did, and whether it damaged their eyes or not, we'll not know, but I do know that it can cause real problems to gaze at the sun, tempting as that might be. So I hope you've enjoyed this little journey toward the light of our lives and beyond. This is Dr. Dikki-Jo Mullen in Orlando, Florida.